This is Music Theory for Singers. Lesson 1, Getting Started. So what's the point? Singers often don't need to learn too much theory. They do so much through memory, it almost seems pointless. But it does have a point. By learning a little bit of music theory, we can learn to sight sync for exams, learn pieces much faster, take part in choirs, and learn a piece without hearing it first. It's actually not that scary. So let me tell you a story. In the beginning, there was only memory. And with more and more music to learn, singers were struggling to remember. They created a series of blobs that would help them remember which direction they were going in, up on the page for higher pitches and lower on the page for lower pitches. This was fine, but they needed to create a prompt for the first note, a grounding. From there they could work out if it was a big leap or a small leap. You'll notice that they labelled the line G, so they knew the starting note. The floating notes were not so useful after all. They needed to create more lines to help visualise the gaps. We can now have notes on a line and in a space, and now we know exactly how far apart the notes are, simply by counting. The musical alphabet has 8 notes. It goes from A to G before starting again. So if we know that this first note is G, we can count upwards. The space is A, B, C, D, and therefore we know that this one must be E. See if you can work out the other notes. Pause the video if you need more time. Counting up from the G, we know that this next note must be C. It must be E. And this one must be G. If we know this one's G, we can also count downwards. So in the space is F, the line is E, and underneath this line must be D. The G became more fancy and cursive as time went on, until it became this. It's the treble clef, and as long as we find the cross, we can always find G and count upwards or downwards. A series of notes like this can get a little messy if it goes on forever, so musical punctuation was added, like this line. It's called a bar line. As time went on, we added more and more punctuation. And there you go, you've learnt to read music in only a few minutes. If you like this video, I can create more and start to teach you about more detail and punctuation that was added to music to help you with your singing careers. Well done, and keep singing.